What is making you a quitter? What is making you a weak man? What is making you afraid? You have to attack. You have to keep attacking. The enemy has to know he is not going to give up. You must break the soul of whatever the fuck is in front of you.
There's this quote from one of my friends, Alex Hormozi, that says, "You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt."
Nailed.
Completely nailed.
Yes, because a lot of people will, and some of these motivational people out here, it's the funniest thing in the world to me. They'll go and say, when you wake up in the morning, pound your chest, look at yourself in the mirror and do all this. I hope it works. What works for me is that everyday resume, the things I know I've accomplished, the things I know I've done, real hard work, the real calluses on my mind, the real calluses on my hands. That's it. You don't need to pound your chest in the mirror anymore if you have that.
Look for inspiration. Inspiration is found in every footstep you take, every grasp of that iron bar, all the miles in the pool. Inspiration is found in suffering.
I'm not a theorist. I didn't study a book. I literally put myself in a fire repeatedly like a sword. You put a sword in the fire repeatedly and repeatedly. If you keep on doing that, you're going to get a nice sword. And then you keep on beating it. You got to beat the shit out of it. And that's what I am. I say, okay, we can't quit. We got to figure out why you are this pussy. What is wrong with you? What's going on here? So I kept on putting the sword back in the daggone fire, and I just beat it harder. And I beat it harder. Before I knew it, I started realizing, all right, man, the brain is starting to get hard. I'm no longer a theorist. I'm now a practitioner. I put it in hell. I dissected it while it's in hell, because you can't dissect anything in a normal environment. You can't dissect anything in 72-degree weather. You must put it in the freezer and freeze the out of it, and then you dissect it. Dissect it when it's miserable. Dissect the brain when all it's thinking about is, I need to get out of here, man. I want to get out of the freezer. Open the door. And he said, nah, 5 more seconds, man. 5 more seconds in the freezer. And that's when you start to pick that brain apart. And that's what all this stuff did to me. I kept on putting myself back into the freezer or the fire and beating the shit out of myself, mentally and physically. I'm not good enough, smart enough. I'm not talented enough. Some people are. Some people can start at 1. Some people don't have to start at all. If you lack talent, you can't sit back and say, I'll start in half an hour. I can't do that. I got to start now. And after I get back from starting, I got to start again. That's the haunting part, is that it's going to happen. I know I'm going to do it. It has to happen. And when I get done with that run or that study session, if it wasn't good enough, I got to go back again. Because repetition is what taught me everything. There's been this unrelenting voice in my head. We all have this voice. It's the right or wrong voice. And a lot of times that voice guides us into comfort. My voice guided me into comfort a lot. But I have this other voice I heard my whole life saying, hey, what are you doing? No, man, we got to go over here. We got to go over here to that rock pile over in the corner where nobody's at. That's where victory's at. So this voice was giving me all these answers. I wasn't a real smart kid growing up, but I had this crazy voice in my head saying, over there is where the answers are. And I didn't want to listen to it, because over there was pain. Over there was me looking in the mirror. Over there was me being accountable for all these things I went through my life. Even though people put them on me, it's now mine to own. And I didn't want to go over there by myself, but I had to. And this voice was guiding me there.
Life ain't about medals, ain't about certificates, ain't about houses, money, cars, fame, all that. It's about scars. We don't get judged on your medals. We get judged on your scars. Those scars show your willingness to get to the other side. They show your failures, willingness to start from scratch. They show what you're willing to do to go the distance, to see what you're capable of. So make sure in life, don't be afraid to get scarred.
I'm an artist, and every day I'm painting Mona Lisa. Every day. But it's a different one. Not the same painting. So every day I wake up, even though I do the same thing, it takes a different way to get there. And a good painter will not just paint. He needs to create. And you can't create with phones and everything going around you. So you got to block yourself off. You only do 2 podcasts in a year. You block yourself off, and you're painting this thing inside, and you're going through all these different colors of paint and everything else. And you can only figure out the right painting if you spend the correct amount of time in your brain. So every single day I'm literally going through my mind and I'm painting, I'm creating this masterpiece. And the masterpiece is always myself. But to do that, you cannot have any distractions.
Most people get wrong about motivation.
They think it's a permanent fix. They think it's something that is a constant. They think that maybe once I get it, I'm going to hold on to it. And that's the thing about that I was telling you, that I always talk about, is nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. And a lot of times you have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to perform without purpose. You have to learn to perform a lot of different things. And that's what people think. They think I need to have this motivation to work out, to study, to be better. So if they don't have it, they just don't do it. And that's where you fail. You have to learn to train your mind well beyond motivation. If you have motivation, that's great. That's some kindling to the fire. All it takes is a little bit of spark and you can burn the whole forest up. But motivation, you have to learn to exist without it. You have to learn to be, your best self when you're least motivated. And that's the tricky part about all that. Motivation is just a word. You have to have these different things in your mind on where you want to go and know that motivation is not going to get me there, because I'm not going to always be motivated. People go, what motivates you now? What motivates me now is that there's over 600 some odd thousand people looking at me saying, Goggins is somewhere out there. He's somewhere out there after it. And I am. So you ain't never home. I'm out there somewhere. 600 some thousand people. There's a chance that when you're working out, I don't care if you're in Washington, D.C. and I'm in Nashville, there's a good chance at the same time we're getting after it. And I want people to know that. And it's the real deal. We are getting after it together. Not no like happy family but we're getting after it. The second I shut out the whole world and realized that one thing, that I am in this world alone. I'm fighting this race by myself. Yeah, I'm all about people. I'm all about team. I'm all about that but I'm really all about right now and in my life, just like you said, no one knows the real truth about me, how hard I really go. I don't care if anybody knows. I don't want anybody to know. I'm an introvert. I live an introverted life, and I love that about me. That right there is my fuel, is I know that there's really no one out there grinding like me. And if they are, so be it. If I know about you, I'll make sure that I up my game. That's what the mentality is all about. My whole thing is a mentality thing. I view myself as the weakest person on the planet Earth. My goal in life was to, in my mind, believe I'm the hardest man alive. And that's why the whole thing is can't hurt me. That's what it's about. It's about whatever you think you are, you have to make that dream a reality. But that's where the hard part is. They lack passion, drive, determination because you haven't spent time with yourself. Your mind will tell you what is next, but you haven't spent the time to go, all right, let me just figure this out. You're looking for, let me Google this and let me Google that and you're not going to find it there because there's billions of people in this world and they're all supposed to be individuals. We have a pack mentality. That's why you're so lost. Why am I so unique? I'm being exactly what the I was supposed to be. I ain't follow shit. And when I did follow it, I was like everybody else. Why most people don't want to do that, build that willpower, is because it is scary. It unlocks a whole bunch of things about who you are and who you're not. And a lot of people don't want to go down that journey to discover who they are and who they're not. Because it's not a pretty journey. It's not like I went down it once. I go down it all the time. And when you unlock that, and you can't just turn it off. Like people say, hey, well, how come you haven't retired yet? I built all this willpower. Do you think it's going to let me just retire because my knees hurt? It's telling me every morning, I wake up like, man, my knees hurt, my legs hurt, my body hurts, but you can still run. So why aren't you running? If you can still run, there'll be a time when you can't lace them up anymore, but you can still run. So I still run. When the time comes I can't run, the body will say, you just can't run. But if I can still do something, that willpower that I have created, it makes me do it every day. And that's what they don't get. What builds a human being is you start with the small building blocks. And before you know it, man, you become something that it doesn't even make sense to most people because it's just who you are now. You have to believe in one thing, and that is yourself. And I'm not saying don't believe in God or what you believe in, but right now, for you to find greatness in yourself, you're not going to find it by looking in a book or by even hearing me. I may give you the spark, but you've got to go inside yourself to find it. And that means you got to be quiet. Shut the up, go in a room, stop talking, search your soul, search your mind, search your abilities, and you'll find it. But if you're not looking for it, you won't find it. So you got to go start your journey. And the journey starts with you finding, why the hell am I here on this planet Earth? Why am I here? And if you don't know that, you will live the rest of your life searching, always asking the question, why? My biggest fear to this day is, and I say a lot, is going to heaven and being judged by God. I believe that God knows everything about you. From the time you're born, when you're going to be born, when you're going to die, when you're going to graduate, buzz, whatever's going to happen to you, He knows all this shit. Some people never do what God knows you're capable of doing because we have choices. My biggest fear in life was to get to heaven and God look at me as I'm being judged and I was some fat 300-pound guy like I used to be that still sprayed for cockroaches with a that's that's okay. It's what you want to do. I didn't want to do that. And I made $1,000, a month. And I got to heaven and God laid out this chart in front of me. And he said, hey man, look at this chart. And it had my name on top and all this amazing shit. And I'm like, that's not me, man. He goes, that's who you were supposed to be. My biggest fear in life is that one day if I ever get judged by something, someone, some energy force, that I go up there and I failed the mission. Whatever force up there thought I was supposed to be some badass and I went up there underachieved. I want that force up there that knows everything to be writing as I'm living, saying I had no idea he even had this in him. So I want to just be the best I can. And a lot of people say that. I truly mean that.